Everything is based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Ganati Marandasya Ganagana Sarakya Chaksurimuritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave. I want to talk to you today about balancing the books. We all deal with unfair situations in life, people who do you wrong. I don't think you can live very long without someone being jealous, someone talking badly about you behind your back, being cheated in a business deal, a friend not keeping their word. Raise your hand. Had any of those experiences happen to you? They're pretty much universal. It doesn't seem right, does it? When you're doing your best and someone else puts you at a disadvantage, their choices set you back. Well, here's a heartening phrase from the Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God, by Lord Krishna, who tells his devotee and friend Arjuna, Ye yata mam prapadyate tam stataiva bhajamyaham vartma vanumartate manusha parta sarvashaha. Krishna says, everyone follows my path in all respects, O Arjuna. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. What does that mean? Krishna, or God, sees what it is that you're going through. He sees who did you wrong, how they walked away, left you to raise the kids, how they manipulated things to make you look bad, how they were dishonest, took what should have been yours. Krishna is saying to you today, don't worry. I'm going to balance the books. I'm going to make it up to you. You don't have to get even. You don't have to vindicate yourself. Krishna, or God, is going to settle your account. You're not at the mercy of how others treated you. They don't control your destiny. They may have walked away, said things that damaged your reputation. Can I tell you today, stay encouraged. If you kept your faith, if you regularly and consistently honor the Lord by chanting His holy names, your time is coming. Krishna is not going to leave His devotees' accounts in a deficit. His devotees may go down from time to time, but the Lord of the devotees is not going to let them stay down, mistreated, shortchanged. No. If you've kept Him first place, get ready. Krishna is coming. Payback is coming. God is a just God. You don't have to settle your account. He's going to do it for you. In a book called On the Way to Krishna, Prabhupada writes, in this connection, there's a story of a little boy, about 5 years old, named Dhruva, who belonged to a royal family. In the course of time, his father, King Uttamanath, tired of his mother Suniti and deposed her as the queen. He then took another woman, a younger woman, Suruchi, as queen, and she became a stepmother to Dhruva. Naturally, Suruchi wanted her son, Uttama, to become the king, and so she was very envious of Dhruva. And one day, as Dhruva was sitting on his father's knee, Suruchi, his stepmother, insulted him by saying, you cannot sit. Can you imagine being told this as a 5-year-old child? You cannot sit on the lap of your father because you're not born of me. The exact words that she hurled at him in Sanskrit, tapas saraja purusham tasayavana grahename garba tvam sandhyatmanam yadvitrashi chupapanam. If you at all desire to sit on the throne of the king, then you have to undergo severe austerities. You must satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and then when you are favored by Him because of such worship, you shall have to take your next birth from my womb. Whew! What scorching, insulting words. And Dhruva took it as such, went to his mother, who was no longer in favor, said, dear mom, my stepmother has insulted me by dragging me down from my father's lap. She said to him, dear boy, what can I do? I'm helpless. Your father no longer cares for me. Dhruva said, how can I make things right? Mother pointed out to him that the harsh words uttered by his stepmother were true because unless favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve any success in life. Man proposes, God disposes. Suniti, Dhruva's natural mother, agreed with her co-wife's advice that Dhruva engage himself in the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Oh, indirectly, the words of Suruchi were a benediction for Dhruva Maharaj, for because of the influence of his stepmother's words, as we shall see, he became a great devotee. This is what his mother Suniti said to him. Atishta ta trat bimatsarastram, utkam samatrapi. Utkam means the word samatrapi of your stepmother, yad avalekam. Although insulting, although harsh, they're actually true. Aroda daksha padam, unless you worship the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you will never sit on the throne of your father. Dhruva asked his mother, how do I find God? She was a simple woman. She said, the saints and sages go deep into the forest, into the Himalayas. They stay there for decades and decades. And if they emerge, they've seen God. Dhruva determined that even though he's a 5-year-old boy who was going to go into the dark, dangerous jungle, but he didn't know what God looked like. He didn't know who God was. He was asking the snakes, are you God? The eagles, are you God? The deer, are you God? The rabbits, are you God? Do you get the feeling that this is a highly unfair, prejudiced situation against a 5-year-old boy? Sometimes things happen in our life. They're just totally unbalanced. C.S. Lewis said that the feeling of unfairness within each one of us, think about this, is a signpost pointing to God. Why? When you see a movie, don't we all want to see the good guys win? Don't we all want to see justice done? That, in fact, is the definition for the happy ending of a movie. We want to see wrong righted. We're cheering the good guys on. We feel cheated if the bad guys triumph instead. Lewis said that feelings like that are so universal, they are evidence we are created in the image of a just God. The good news is that Krishna never brings you out from your troubles the same. He makes the enemy pay for bringing that trouble. Someone may have tried to push you down, said things that were hurtful, or you didn't have a good childhood. There was a lot of abuse, manipulation, jealousy. But when he settles the accounts, you're not only just going to get what you're owed, but you're going to come out increased, promoted, honored, better than if that trouble had never happened, better relationships, better position, better influence. Dhruva in the forest began meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He went into tree pose. Gradually he stopped eating. Gradually he stopped drinking. And eventually he stopped breathing. He merged the incoming breath into the outgoing breath. And as this 5-year-old boy in the depths of the jungle stopped breathing, the whole universe became choked up. It became difficult for everybody to breathe, kind of like now, I think, during COVID, isn't it? At this point, the Lord appeared before him face to face and fulfilled all of Dhruva's desires. His revengeful attitude towards his stepmother and stepbrother was satisfied. His desire for the kingdom of his father was fulfilled. Krishna gave Dhruva the opportunity. This is in a previous age when people lived a longer time. He gave him the opportunity to rule his father's kingdom for 36,000 years with youthful, vigorous senses and the chances to perform great sacrifices and become the most reputed king in the world at that time. At the time of leaving his body, Krishna, over and above that, said that he would be able to transfer and attain sovereignty over the pole star, the North Star, which is also known as Dhruva Loka. This Dhruva Loka planet, which was awarded to King Dhruva, is a spiritual Vaikuntha planet within the material world. When the material world is annihilated, the Dhruva Loka planet remains as it is. Now, the interesting thing is that considering all these benedictions that were bestowed upon Dhruva by the Lord, to Dhruva now, having been totally transformed, these blessings, in comparison to having seen the Lord face to face, he considered worthless now. He said, Shraming pitarto shmin varamna yache. I was looking for pieces of broken glass, but in seeing you, Lord, I found a very valuable jewel. I no longer care for my Father's kingdom, for name, fame, and influence, because just seeing you has fully satisfied me. Nevertheless, Dhruva did not leave the forest empty-handed. Krishna caused him not only to get his kingdom back, but in addition promoted him that after his current lifetime, he would go in the self-same body, without giving up his current body, to preside over the pole star. What was that? Krishna balancing the books after only 6 months of devotional service. Dhruva entered the forest, loaded down with burdens, loaded down with pressure, loaded down with discouragement. But when he left the forest, he was loaded down with gifts, loaded down with joy, loaded down with blessings. Similarly, you may have been through some unfair situations. Seems like the struggle, the loneliness, the depression is always going to be there. It's your destiny. Can I tell you, no, your time is coming. If you kept in first place, Krishna is not going to leave you at a deficit. Prabhupada writes in another book called The Perfection of Yoga, when one is actually connected with Krishna or God, he is totally satisfied. That is the meaning of yoga, yoking with the Supreme. His satisfaction is infinitely greater than so-called enjoyment in this material world. That is the satisfaction resulting from God realization, and that is the perfection of yoga. Quit worrying about the people that did you wrong, losing sleep over that person that left you, that contract you were manipulated out of it. They may have manipulated you, but they cannot manipulate our God. When he's ready to pay you back, all the forces of darkness can't stop him. He'll make things happen that don't make sense. He'll cause people to be good to you who didn't even like you before. He'll open doors that should be closed. He'll promote you even when you weren't next in line. Why? Because Krishna is a just God. He saw that Dhruva's account was in deficit. Dhruva was the oldest son of his king, next in line for the throne, not being treated fairly, cheated out of what was his birthright, that did not go unnoticed. In the Bhagavad Gita, Song of God, chapter 10, text 36, Krishna says, Duyatam charitajmi tejas tejasvinam jayoshmin vyavshayoshmin sattva sattvataham aham. You want to cheat my devotees? Krishna says, I am the cheater of the cheaters. If I have to, no one is a greater cheater than God. As the Supreme, Prabhupada writes, God can be more deceitful than any mere man. Because he's not just supreme in some categories, he's supreme in every category. Prabhupada said, if Krishna chooses to deceive someone, no one can surpass him in his deceit. His greatness is not simply one-sided, but it is all-sided. And when Krishna appeared before Dhruva, he anointed Dhruva as the king against all odds. When Dhruva triumphantly returned to the palace full of grace, favor, full of the blessings from the Lord, the citizens took one look at his effulgence, his peace, calm, and self-control. And they started spontaneously chanting, long live the king, long live the king, long live Dhruva Maharaj. His stepmother, Suruchi, couldn't believe it. She nearly passed out. Shortly after that, her own son, Uttama, was killed in a fight with some yakshas. It is said the king, Maharaj Uttapanath, had been missing his son terribly during those 6 months he was in the forest. He had been very anxious to be reunited with his son, and when he saw him with great affection, he went forward, embraced his long-lost son. Breathing very heavily, he welcomed him back wholeheartedly. Dhruva, from his side, was not the same person he'd been when he left. He was completely sanctified by spiritual advancement due to having been touched by the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of God. And it is said then, Dhruva offered his obeisances at the feet of his father, honored his father, then he bowed his head at the feet of his two mothers. Prabhupada says, it may be questioned why Dhruva offered respects not only to his well-wishing mother, but also to his stepmother, due to whose insults he had to leave home. The answer is that after having achieved perfection by self-realization and seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, Dhruva was completely free from the material contaminations of envy and hate. Feelings of insult or honor in this material world are never perceived by pure devotees. Dhruva, therefore, in this verse has been described as Sadjanagraha, the foremost of noble men. The pure devotee is the noblest of all and has no feelings of animosity towards anyone. Saruchi, his stepmother, seeing that the innocent boy had bowed down, touched her feet, let bygones be bygones, bury the hatchet, she immediately picked him up and embracing him, she said with tears of joy flowing down her face, "My dear boy Dhruva, may you live long and rule triumphantly." Krishna, or God, knows how to move people out of the way. He knows how to vindicate you, how to promote you. You just have to do your part. Keep doing the right thing. Trust God to fight your battles. Why? Because no one can stand against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You and Krishna are a majority. In life, we all have people coming against us. We all have things happen that aren't fair. But I've learned, if you just keep honoring Krishna, he will take care of the opposition. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You don't have to try to manipulate things, try to pay people back, work your way back onto the throne, so to speak. When it's your time to thrive, doors will open that no person can shut. People that were against you will either change or be for you. Let Krishna fight your battles. Don't worry about the people that are against you. Someone may have usurped your throne, so to speak. They've manipulated things at work to get the position that should have been yours. Seems like they're holding your back, but Krishna is a God of justice. Just do like Dhruva. Stay on the high road. Keep being your best. You don't have to vindicate yourself. Krishna will not only vindicate you, but he'll make it up to you. Time is coming when you're going to see blessings that you can't explain, promotion that you didn't deserve, great people come looking for you. That is Krishna balancing the books for how you were mistreated, paying you back for what should have been yours. Dhruva was born into a dysfunctional family, a chaotic environment. His stepmother trying to get rid of him, his father selling his birthright to a younger wife. All the odds were against him. Didn't look like he had any kind of future. He should have lived second class, overlooked, struggling, defeated, overcome. But what made the difference was he was a king's son. Maybe you also have had some bad breaks. You weren't raised perhaps in a healthy environment. Feel like you're at a disadvantage, been overlooked, pushed down. That would keep most people in mediocrity, defeat, and depression. But not you, not the devotees, because you know you're a king's son. You're a king's daughter. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. you have an advantage. There's a favor on your life that will cause you to go where you couldn't go on your own. A blessing that will lift you up when life tries to push you down. An anointing to excel when you should be limited. To rise higher when you should be stuck. To defeat the odds, to outlast the opposition. Don't be discouraged over what it looks like you're losing. How you're being shortchanged. Not getting what you deserve. Why? Because when Krishna balances the books, you'll see sudden increase, unusual growth, extraordinary blessing. Krishna's in the heart. He knows what you're owed. He is storing up your blessings. Here's the key. Don't look to people to make it up to you. Look to Krishna. That person that hurt you, that friend that did you wrong, the company that let you go after 20 years, they cannot pay you back the way Krishna is going to pay you back. You get it from people, it's going to be so much less than what it could and should have been. But we have to pass the test, not be vindictive, not try to get revenge, not sinking down to their level, not playing their game. That's a distraction. That's not a battle you're supposed to fight. Come to that place of peace. Let Krishna take care of it. Get your eyes off of who hurt you. Quit losing sleep over what they did and start thanking Krishna that he will balance the books, that he will compensate you what you are owed. If you'll be a dhruva, keep doing the right thing. Keep a good attitude, even when it's unfair. Being your best when you're not being treated right. Then when it's all said and done, you'll not only be vindicated, but you'll be promoted, you'll be honored, blessed at a whole new level. And if you don't understand this principle, that God will balance your books, then you're going to get frustrated. You're going to try to take revenge, manipulate things. Can I tell you to forget that? Let Krishna pay you back. Trust him even when it doesn't seem fair. Our attitude should be, Krishna, thank you that you will settle the accounts. I know you're a just God. I know that you will pay me back to what is owed. There was a bit of poetic justice a few years ago in Berlin, Germany. The San Francisco Giants and the San Diego Chargers played an exhibition football game in the Olympic Stadium that was used for the 1936 Olympics. There was an interesting sidebar to this athletic event. Marty Glickman, who was a sportscaster, seat for the game was in the same box and in the same seat that Adolf Hitler had sat in to view the 1936 Olympics. Glickman in 1936 was a world-class sprinter on America's Olympic team. But Hitler did not allow him to compete, primarily because of Hitler's hatred for the Jews. But now, many years later, Hitler's dead, killed by his own hand. In his very same seat is Marty Glickman, who said, it was weird sitting there. It made me remember marching in the stadium and looking up at the box and seeing him. I never imagined at the time he'd be dead and I'd be sitting right here in his place. Yes, there will be seasons when you're going to be tested. Things are going to happen that you don't understand, but that is not how your story ends. Payback is coming. You're not going to be loaded with burdens. You're going to be loaded with blessings. Not loaded with lack, but loaded with abundance. Not loaded with sickness, but loaded with good health, strength, and vitality. Everything that was stolen, Krishna is going to restore. The joy, the peace, the health, the finances, the dreams. He's going to pay you back for that childhood you never had. Pay you back for that person that falsely accused you, for those years lost in an abusive relationship, for that promotion that should have been yours. Now, why don't you get in agreement with Krishna? Instead of focusing on who did you wrong, what you didn't get, how it was unfair, Lord, thank you for balancing the books. Thank you for paying me back for the wrongs. Lord, I know that you will compensate me for my innocence. What was meant for my harm, you will turn to my advantage. Don't have a victim mentality. Have a restoration mentality, a payback mentality. When unfair things happen, someone does you wrong, in one sense, they did you a favor. They just qualified you for punitive damages. Instead of being discouraged, Father, thank you that punitive damages are coming. Thank you that you're going to multiply what I had before the trouble started. Krishna knows how to settle your accounts. He knows how to make up for what wasn't fair, what you didn't get, who wasn't there for you, who walked away. Another person cannot stop your destiny unless you yourself allow them to do so. If you get bitter, angry, lose your passion, then you're going to miss the payback that God has in mind. Miss the reward. Scripture says, even if my mother and father forsake me, Krishna will adopt me as his very own child. He's watching over you. He's seen the lonely nights. He's seen the loveless marriage. He's seen the injustice at work. He has beauty for those ashes, blessings for those burdens, joy in the morning. If you'll just do like Dhruva, keep moving forward, being your best right where you are, then payback is coming. Krishna will open doors that no person can shut, give you favor with people and cause them to be good to you. When he settles your account, you'll go to places that you could have never dreamed of. Think of Dhruva's own father turning his back on him when he was only 5 years old. Dhruva had plenty of opportunities to have a pity party, to get all down and depressed, to say, boo-hoo, poor me. I've been betrayed by my father. My stepmother is jealous of me. She's dragged me off of my father's lap. My own family has turned on me. The people that should be for me are now against me. Seemed like Dhruva would end as a failure. Betrayal, rejection, being yelled at, broken promises. Surely his story was over. And similarly, you also may have been in an unfair situation for a long time. Feel like it's never going to change. You're never going to come out of it. You're tempted to lose your passion, give up on your dreams. We all have to deal with broken promises, betrayals, unfair situations. Can we encourage you? Krishna has not forgotten about you. He sees your faithfulness. He sees you pressing forward, chanting your rounds faithfully, being your best despite how they treated you, despite how they made fun of you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you've kept God first place, then like with Dhruva, Krishna is about to do something in your life highly unusual, uncommon, out of the ordinary. Suddenly you're vindicated. Suddenly you're promoted. Suddenly you meet the right person. Suddenly the people that are trying to push you down are moved out of the way. Your crooked places are made straight. You're thrust where you couldn't go on your own. What is that? The power of the Most High balancing the books. You may be in a deficit now. Life hasn't been fair. People left you out. A family member turned on you. The pandemic set you back. Stay in peace. Your time is coming. Krishna is going to make it up to you. What belongs to you is on the way. You don't have to go after it. It's going to come after you. The Lord always balances the books. I believe payback is coming. Vindication is coming. Restoration. The right people. Healing. Promotion. Krishna is about to settle your accounts in this life and in the next life. Take you back to home. Back to Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.